Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We've got a great show planned for you today. Today we're getting the chance to sit down with Miguel Santos just before he takes off for World Masters and hopefully he brings home the gold medal. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're looking for more great episodes with different guests, instructors, and also our breakdowns of different clips and also technique breakdowns, don't forget to subscribe and share. Today's episode is brought to you by SpiritLeaf Waterdown, located at 64 Hamilton Street North in Waterdown, Ontario. If you're looking for Canada's greatest cannabis line, don't forget to go to SpiritLeaf Waterdown, and Alex and his crew are going to help you out with all the THC and CBD products you need. Saving money every time you go shop there is easy. All you got to do is share our Instagram and also share their Instagram, and you're going to save 10% every time you shop. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon on the mats.
This is the full Miguel Santos experience, because I know when we invite gentlemen like yourself, so pristine, giving back to the community, a hardworking regular Joe like yourself, a Masters type champion. We're joined by none other than some of the greatest that has ever done it, Miguel Santos. And if he's going to tell us anything, he's going to tell us the real facts. He's not going to tell us bullshit. He's going to tell us the real things that are happening in the community, the real things that are happening in the real world. And he's not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to be the main man that's going to tell you the truth, nothing but the truth. And that's the bottom line.
Was he on the stand or something?
I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Miguel, how you doing, my friend? It's been a long time.
I'm good. Everything's good. No real complaints, just doing my thing, training lots, getting ready for World Masters next week, right? So I compete on Friday of next week, and hopefully I do well. So that's all.
Excellent.
And, training like 6 days a week and sometimes twice a day. So
look at you, champion of men over here.
Gonna try, buddy. Give it the old college try. Absolutely.
Professional Master 7 athlete, Miguel Santos.
Master 5 already. I'm getting there, bro. So this year worked out. I'm right at the bottom of the division, right? So I'm 50. I'll be 51 in December, and I can compete in Master 5. So it kind of works out. I'll be at the bottom of the bracket age-wise. So
beautiful. I'm trying to actually convince Aaron to do Masters Worlds next year, 2022. He's going to be doing probably the same division as Sanji. Can you talk Aaron into doing a Vegas trip?
You got to do it. And then after we're done, we go eat like pigs and shoot guns. What else, Win or lose, real reason. Right? We just bury our sorrows in guns and food after, right? So,
whole bunch of America going on.
Yeah. And if things aren't going with Shandy, just throat punch him, man. During the give him a couple of quick, a headbutt too. Everything's an accident after, right? So, sorry, buddy.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know what happened.
Sorry.
I panicked.
Yeah, just
headbutt him and then pretend you don't speak English. Be like, oh, what? What do you mean? I thought it was Lee. What?
Nina Desai once told me, says, if you're gonna lose, make him remember that you lost.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. Be memorable or get my shit kicked. One of the two.
That's right. Fight him.
I can just picture Aaron down like 67-0. There's 30 seconds left, and just punching Sanji square in the dick.
Yeah, just what I need to go on Flow Grappling. That's the highlight I need. Excellent. So Miguel, you've been obviously getting able to train hard. Obviously the pandemic has kind of thrown a wrench into kind of everybody's training. Obviously a year ago, obviously 18 months ago, but you were able to still kind of keep a level head, keep working, doing what you were doing. How'd you feel since the last 18 months, you've been able to kind of block out the noise and just kind of train and keep doing your own thing?
Well, I was very fortunate in both regards. As far as work goes, I never stopped working. I was building a grocery store. I'm an electrician by trade, and I was building a grocery store at the time, and that was deemed essential because it was related to the food industry. So work-wise never bugged me. And then I was fortunate enough to meet a gentleman, who I'm going to give a big shout out to, Simon Hepworth, over at Gringos. And we trained the whole time during the lockdown. me and him together. He's got mats in his basement, and I trained with that guy right through everything. Sometimes like 3, 4, 5 times a week. So we trained consistently. We drilled a lot and we rolled a lot. So he's really I gotta give kudos to the guy. He really I feel he improved my game. So especially my passing game, he's got a really good guard, and my whole guard game regards to closed guard and even the half guard situation, right? So I feel much better with my guard now, and that's I got to give that guy credit with regards to all that. And then moving over to Gringos, there's a lot of different training partners now, right? A lot of different looks, a lot of different styles, and a lot of different levels, right? I go to a lunch class, I can hang pretty good in there, but I go to a comp class at 9:30, the Brazilians are there, Igor, Brano, Lucas, Guillermo, Kieran. I'm a goddamn punching bag, man. I feel like, I feel like day one of jiu-jitsu, right? I'm like just taking a beating. I'm like, okay, if I can make this round and not tap, it's a fucking win, man. So
Yeah.
it's awesome, right? So yeah.
Or
but I was
you
pretty
punch
lucky.
or you punch him in the dick, whatever comes first.
Yeah. Just try to prison wrist lock them,
That's what you learned in the last year and a half. If all else goes wrong, prison wrist lock.
Right. That's right. So
basement jiu-jitsu is where it was at in 2020. That needs to be a shirt or a logo somewhere coming soon. But no, we Aaron had a basement buddy. I had a basement buddy. You had a basement buddy. But now, things are getting back to where you can actually train with some others, and hopefully it works out for your prep.
Yeah, I visit other places. So like typically I spend most of my training time at Gringos, but I also go to Patrick Terrell's place too. I've been going to his comp class on Saturdays, which is really good. He's got a bunch of different people show up, even from different academies, so you get a lot of different looks, get to roll different people. And I've been visiting up James Ann up in Newmarket, and he's super slick, right? So, and his guys are cool there too, right? So, but he's for a small dude, that guy's pretty slick. So passing and guarding the whole spiel. He's like, always 3 steps ahead, right? So it's pretty cool to roll with them too. I was there today, so it was really really good. So there was a small group of us, but it was very good. So I was lucky that way.
No, perfect. And I think also the other thing is you eventually at one point switched gyms because you were with Gracie Humata for quite a long time, and then you kind of switched over to the Cyril Costa team. So what's kind of not necessarily why you decided to do that, but what was the kind of the approach you kind of took where it's okay, I'm going to start switching teams, and why did you feel that was the move that you wanted to make?
I just felt like I needed to expand my jiu-jitsu, and go somewhere, with Gracie Muay with Danny and stuff, don't get me wrong, Danny taught me lots of stuff I still use today. Tony Isaacs did as well, Andrew DeCarlos, he's a great instructor also, right? Those guys are all good guys, but I just felt like I needed to switch to improve my jiu-jitsu and go somewhere where the level was a little bit different and the looks are a little bit different. I equate it to this, if you roll with the same 5 or 6 guys all the time, your game's only going to go so far because you're used to those 5 or 6 guys. Yeah. They do this and you do that. You do this and they do that. But when you go roll with a bunch of people and his membership's huge, you from one guy to the next, it's completely different, right? So you really have to change and evolve, right? So and I wanted to focus more on a competition style jiu-jitsu than more of a self-defense jiu-jitsu at that point. So that was kind of my focus at that time. So
is it mainly bodies, or what are some things that you're looking for in a class structure, since we're kind of on that topic? Is so you go to Gringos, there's a competition class, what's the structure of that versus a standard, hey, you go to jiu-jitsu, you show up, you break fall, you what's kind of the difference that you found between those styles of classes?
Well, Gringos warm-up is typically sweeps and passes, so there's not really break falling and shrimping, and that's he warms up. We warm up typically at a noon class with 3 minutes of guard passing, you pair up, and 3 minutes of sweeping. That's your warm-up. Then you do your technique, right? shows a technique, but he typically, he spends about a month or more on a technique, whether it be legs. We just finished up side control. So now he's on to Kimura trap, but he'll spend about a month, sometimes more, on one system. And he expands on the system as he goes along through that, right? So it's, and then you can, when you start to do the systems, right, you'll be able to chain them in movements, right? From one to the next, to the next, and the next, and you can put them together. But one of the things I found that helped me the most was drilling. So I spend, you know, a minimum of 2 hours a week just drilling techniques. And I feel that that is super important for anyone out there, right? To improve their game. I don't think, like, you could, you know, you could come show someone a technique and they'll do it, you know, in a class structure, like, you know, whatever, 5, 10 times, 15 times. But if they don't put the work into to drill that technique, it'll never become fluid. And it's the same thing, like, they won't try to expand their game. So you go roll with someone who's of equal value of you in jiu-jitsu or better, you're going to bring your A game all the time. And if that's the only game you have, you're not going to really evolve, in my opinion, right? So you're not going to try to chain different things and put different things together, right? So, yeah.
So obviously, like, you know, working with all these different training partners and being an older competitor like yourself, like, what have you kind of had to kind of learn to, like, okay, hey, I'm X amount of my age, I still have to work differently than these like young lions that you're training with right now. So, like, how have you kind of like evolved your training patterns to kind of make it work for you?
Well, to be honest with you, when I went over to Gringos, I had to eat some humble pie for a while because I felt like, you know, I just wasn't up to par with most of his guys, and I feel different about that now. But at my age, like, if I get caught in something now, when I was, I think when I'm not, I think when I was a white or blue belt, I'd rather fight you to the death than tap.
To the death. Aaron's
I'd rather,
still like that.
You know, that last second
this
before
day.
you're gonna go to sleep, or the last, I'd like let you tear my shoulder apart. I've had PRP and, you know, 3 shots in my shoulders. If I get caught now, I get caught, and it doesn't bother my ego, right? You know what I mean? That's another thing I had to adjust, right? That whole, you know, losing mentality, right? So, you know, I'm there to train, and you know, I have to accept the fact of my age and my physical limitations, right? But that being said, you know, I really enjoy it. I think I can hang pretty good with a decent room, right? So, and but for the older grapplers out there, I highly recommend, you know, you spend a lot of time stretching, and a little bit of weights. I typically stretch almost every day. I follow that Supple Leopard guy, Kelly Starlet. I have his app and his book. So I spend, if not every day, for sure every other day, I spend about over an hour doing mobility work to try to stay limber and and lift a little bit of weights. Nothing heavy anymore, like 40-pound dumbbell. You know, I got a 70-pound kettlebell. But nothing. I'm not trying to squat like 305 or anything like that anymore. No, none of that stuff. It's more of keeping my health, my joints healthy, strong, and some strength, right? So that's kind of the routine I stick to, right? So, but my routine is typically on a weekly basis is drill Mondays, Wednesdays, class Tuesdays, class Thursdays, class Fridays, and class Saturdays. So I usually try to train 6 days a week, and my body's been okay that way, right? So.
I think you talked about something that was very important, like the mobility work. And that's something that, you know, sometimes I've been off and on with myself personally. Like sometimes I'm stretching and I'm doing like, you know, like I think Kelly Starrett, Supple Leopard is like a fantastic book. It's one I own as well. And I would highly recommend it to anybody who's looking to improve, like, you know, their functional mobility, not just for jiu-jitsu, but just like in general in life. But like, I think it's such an often overlooked part of, as you're getting older and you're putting more and more miles on your body, you need to be able to recover properly. I think it's something that a lot of people, myself included, may have neglected in their younger days as well. But no, I'm glad that you brought that up. I always see on Instagram, like, here's a shot of a ball, here's a shot of a band.
And you don't need a lot of stuff. Like in all
No.
reality, you need a band, a roller, a 5-inch ball, a peanut ball, and a ball. And like that 5-inch ball, peanut ball, and the ball you can order on Amazon for $25. You know what I mean? Like you can order his stuff, but you don't have to do that, right? And I have his app, and it's actually like it goes through like videos, so you can actually, because the book is pictures, right? But the app, it actually gives you videos and different videos for different, and it breaks it down by sport if you want, or by whatever you want. Like it has sport, recovery, maintenance, all that sort of stuff. Pain, if you have pain in an area, it takes care of all that stuff. He's got different things for different things. So
That's good.
What are some of the areas that you kind of found that, like, over the years doing jiu-jitsu as like an older competitor, that you found like you need to be working on like continuously with like your routine stretching wise?
my lower back is like the biggest thing for me, like that I have to take care of the most. You know what I mean? I have like herniated discs. I have an S1 and L5 that are herniated, right? And that being said, at one point it was really bad in my back. I had a lot of back issues, and I actually went to see a chiropractor out in Oakville. Peter Constantine, recommended him to me from Submission Arts. This guy, Jeff Weeks, and I spent some time with him there, and he really helped me out because I thought, like, I'm going to have chronic back pain the rest of my life. And the guy, I would recommend him. Like, if anyone's having some serious issues, I would recommend that guy 100% anytime. He really helped me out. But I noticed myself too, like if I cheat and I don't do the mobility work, I don't feel good. I don't feel limber. My hips are tight. I can't move as well, right? So it's like, if you really like jiu-jitsu or you love jiu-jitsu, it's part and parcel of the whole package, right? In my opinion, right? So like, if you're just going to go there and, okay, I'm just going to roll, it's going to catch up to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it always catches up.
Yeah, it's
every time.
Yeah, if you love it, then it's a must, in my opinion, and especially for older grapplers. When you get into your 40s, like I'm 50 now, but when you're like in your 40s, if you're not looking after yourself, right, and food too wise, right, if you're not looking after what you eat, you're gonna have some issues down the road, buddy. So
I think you mentioned the whole thing. It's like, it's not just like, hey, I'm gonna go train, go home, and have like pizza and burgers and stuff. It's like it's a whole lifestyle that you're talking about as well. So it's like stretching, mobility, like the holistic. Like, hey, you gotta take care of what you're putting in your body. You gotta take care. You gotta take care of your joints. You gotta work out. You gotta live the lifestyle, right?
Yeah, you got to get your sleep. You got to drink your water. All that stuff. It's almost like a part-time job. So. Just to enjoy something you like doing, right? So, yeah. So
unless you want to be like Aaron one day at Lifetime in the sauna, my back is broken.
I love that.
What part of your back? Spinal. Spinal. My back.
Hey man, I waited almost 2 years to get back into that sauna. It's been fucking amazing.
Everything's open now again there?
Yeah, no, mostly
at the gym that we do not speak of, that me and Aaron reside out of occasionally.
Yeah, the fact that you just mentioned the name a second ago and not have to edit it out, that's awesome.
It's the gym that we do not speak of, but you've been there,
Yeah. Everything's open though now. But I mean, like, you talk about that lifestyle and like obviously like building that mobility and obviously just utilizing everything you can at your disposal. But like, how did you even get started into jiu-jitsu? Like, how was that even like a thing that you decided to get into?
I worked out. I always went to the gym, but I was just sick of going to the gym. And I actually Googled around here, and I actually started kickboxing with this guy, David Whitehead. And it's funny. He was right around the corner from where Danny is. And so I started kickboxing there, and I liked it. But then he did Japanese jiu-jitsu in the other room. So we'd finish kickboxing. I'd change and get ready to leave, and I'd see these guys putting the pajamas on and getting ready to roll, right? I'm like, I'd look, right? Every time I'd look. So one day he's like, you want to try? So I tried, and I actually liked it more than the kickboxing, right? And actually, one of the first times too, I met Mark Bocek there too. He would teach once a week there also for this guy, David Whitehead. So I was doing the Japanese jiu-jitsu, and I was enjoying it. And then he decided to move to Vancouver. And so I Googled,
Jeez.
What's that?
He just up and left. He's like,
Yeah,
you know what?
just,
Fuck it. I'm
moving to
out of here.
Vancouver. Yeah, that's
So-
exactly what he did, right? And I'm like, okay, I went to Google and I'm like, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Woodbridge.
Yeah.
And Danny popped up. So I went to try class at Danny's and I was like, it looks good here. It's cool for me, right? And it's close to home. And I'm like, okay. I joined right away.
Mhm.
And I spent about I think 4 or 5 years at Danny's
Mhm.
before I moved over to Gringos. Yeah. So and then Danny was at he moved during that location too. During that time, he moved to the new place he's at, right? That second floor place, right on Highway 27. And that's how I got I hooked on it, right? So and now even my daughter trains. My daughter trains with Patrick, right? I get her out there. She goes there usually 4 times a week. And so yeah, I enjoy it thoroughly. I enjoy it as much as I did the first day. So it's just I find as you go along in the journey, your expectations and your goals change. But uh, for me, there's no better way to get a workout. And I'm learning how to strangle people at will and break joints if I have to one day, right? So it's pretty cool, right? You think about it, right? Like you know if you got into an altercation with someone and you ended up on the ground.
When in doubt, spaz on a wrist.
They're in big trouble, prison
big-
wrist lock right away, man.
Prison-
Right? So,
Prison
yeah.
wrist lock. Aaron's got the prison toe hold, is what I call
Yeah.
it. He's got
Exactly.
I've been working on those too, so that's
the prison toe hold is Aaron's BJJ Fanatics DVD that's going to be coming soon.
the next evolution of my game, the toe
Prison,
holds.
prison footlocks coming
That's
soon.
it. That's it. That's
Canadian Fanatics.
Yeah, and then while at Danny's, I competed at white belt, and I won every tournament I competed at white belt. I never lost at white belt when I competed. And then at blue belt, I continued to compete. I won, I lost some. I went to World Masters twice at blue belt, quarterfinals. I got to twice. IBJJF Toronto, I always did good. I always won at IBJJF Toronto. I haven't lost a match at IBJJF Toronto. Always placed gold. New York Open in 2019. And now I'm going to give World Masters a shot again, right? So as purple belt. So
Nice.
hopefully that goes well. Yeah. So
I just saw Pan Am's April 2022, Kissimmee, Florida. That may be a possibility. I'm just saying. Aaron Gall, Sanji Hibero, Michael Briers versus Rafael Lovato Jr.
well,
Miguel's-
a couple of me and a couple of the guys like Simon and Kevin Castellanos, who I want to give a shout out to, is one of my good friends and my training partner too, right? So we've been talking about doing the Austin Open. We've never been to Texas, right? So I think that's January 30th. So go
That'll be fun.
Go buy some cowboy hats and try
Go buy some cowboy hats, shoot an AK-47. It'll be great.
Sure,
Guns,
drive a
freedom.
tank even.
Drive a tank, shoot a tank, shoot shoot an RPG. Like everything's legal there.
Yeah. So and then I also ref. I'm also a referee for the OJA, right? So and I enjoy doing that, right? I don't really I enjoy it. I like watching the matches. I like refereeing. I want to give a shout out to referee for the province, and I want to give a shout out to Mike. Yeah, headed me along doing that, right? So did it.
Oh, is Aaron frozen? I think he's frozen.
I'm not
It looks
frozen.
very intense right now.
Yeah. Did you guys hear what I said?
So me and you have reffed like probably tons of matches like in our years. What's some of the craziest things you've seen in like the history of Ontario BJJ? Is there anything that stands out to you? Any matches that you've reffed where you're just like, wow, what the hell happened there?
There's been a few before grappling industries was governed by us, like they were allowing toe holds I think they called it intermediate, right? And people were just getting their freaking feet destroyed. Like the guy would smash the toe hold on, and I'd hear rip, rip, rip. The guy saying tap, 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 but it's too late. This guy's like, his ankle's gone. You know what I mean? So, but I've seen a lot of people go to sleep, you know. In my mind, and Mike Avito gave me this advice when, you know, best, he says, like, you know, white belts are competing, you know, maybe, you know, that arm is super straight, maybe you call the match, right? You know, but at blue belt, you don't want to tap, let the guy break his arm. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's kind of my same
like,
philosophy.
His choice.
Yeah,
White,
like you're gonna
white
why
belts
are
are
you gonna let him
like
break your arm for a piece of tin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
white belts are like kind of like toddlers. It's like you got to protect them from themselves at times, but like,
yeah.
you know, it's like a teenager. Like you want to do blue belt's kind of like a teenager. You want to do something stupid, go ahead, do something stupid. I'm not bailing you out. It's on you.
But some of them just don't listen, or it's like they come up and you tell them, look, no jumping guard. You know,
They do it anyways.
you say combate, jump
Bam.
guard. Like, what did I just tell you, man? No jumping guard. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with you? You don't listen. So, and then the kids, we try to look after the kids like extremely well. Like, you know, we're always taught as soon as the arm goes straight, you know what I mean? You call the match. You know what I mean? And you'll have that odd parent or odd coach who goes off on you because they think in their mind, you know, like the kid would have got, my kid or my student would have got out of that position. You called it too early, but like really, you want to put your kid or your student in that position where the kid's gonna pop the other kid's arm for a piece of tin. Doesn't make any sense to me. So when they start chirping, you just give them the ignore button, right? You don't really let it get to you, right? So, but,
you swear at them under your breath.
well, I feel like telling them, like, buddy, why don't you just come on the mats and we'll decide this over here? You know what I mean? We'll see what happens.
I would love to see that. Miguel settle an argument
Like,
out on the
really,
match.
Like,
I've almost
you
had
don't
one
even
of those
train.
where I'm just like, well, why don't you come on the mat? And
Yeah. Like, you know, like, what do you know? You don't even train. Like, what are you chirping for? Like, you know, just keep your mouth shut.
Do you even lift? Like, why are you even talking to me?
If I just punch you in the balls, what about that? Would you like that? Like, fuck, right? So, yeah. But,
Well, I laughed at especially like after like 18 months of no tournaments or anything like that, then we finally had a tournament come back, and then Jeremy decides to call a match the wrong way apparently, and then all of a sudden the world needs to end and everybody's losing their mind on the Facebook because of that one incident, and I'm by myself. Everybody's gone.
This is staying in the podcast. So, Miguel, what's up?
I was totally talking to myself.
but it's that level of jiu-jitsu is insane. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me personally, Kieran is at the top of the game for anyone in this province, probably the country. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah. And that guy works. Like, the amount of time he puts in, incredible. You know what I mean? The amount of training he does and stuff, it's just insane because you think about it, right? You'll see that guy, the last two matches, that guy's got, in my opinion, been ripped off. His last two matches, right?
Yeah, he was at the he was at the 8-man recently. I know he lost like a rep. I think he lost a rep decision, but like I didn't see the match.
It was horseshit. You know what I mean? I even sent a message to Cyborg, like, your guy's an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, because he was chirping about how good the guy did. The guy didn't do anything. The guy's not letting Kieran invert under him, right? Keeping back. And he was checking his Kieran's right arm with his left arm every time. Every time Kieran started to get under him, he just stood up and turned and walked away, right? So it was just, you know, but anyway, back to my point, you know, there's different levels. And that guy for me is at the top of the game in Canada, I would say, probably, especially Nogi. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Like, you'll see him roll with some really top level guys, and it's, you know, tap, you know, so it's just the levels of jiu-jitsu. When you think about it, you're watching a match on Flow Grappling or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, wow. It's like, no, it is, oh, wow. It's like, wow. You know what I mean? So,
it's one of those things I think you just have to feel, honestly. It's not, it's like, it's he's probably not in this. Yeah, I've seen that before, but I think it's just the amount of time he's put in, the amount of drilling. I think that's probably the difference between like those levels. I think getting back to that subject of drilling, I think that's something that is going to be becoming more and more important. It's like you can't just do like, okay, I'm going to drill like a technique with Aaron. Okay, I'm going to do it 2 times.
Class.
And then Aaron does, like the classic, like the structure of class where it's like, oh, you do this escape, like you do it twice and then your partner does it twice and you shoot the shit. And then you gotta rep that shit. Like you need to be able to constantly like, and you need to be able to do it under stress too, because you're not just like, oh, like, okay, we're drilling, we're screwing around. But like, if somebody's like trying to maim you, like you need to be able to do that technique under that stress and pressure.
Yeah. And I think another thing that's important is that when you drill something, you drill a chain of events to lead you to an end goal. You know what I mean? And the thing is, even with drilling, you could spend an hour drilling something, but there's so many different things when you think about it, right? You know, lasso guard, closed guard, half guard, you know, passing, sweeping. There's so many things to drill that it'll never stop. You know what I mean? You could drill the rest of your life and still not drill everything, right? So there's so many different things to drill, right? So that's the thing, right? So, but I also recommend this to people too. Like if you're going to drill and you want to follow whoever it is, you like a certain style, Andre Galvão, John Danaher, whoever it may be, you know what I mean? That I would advise people to follow one person mostly for their drilling and their techniques, because they will chain you eventually down the road. Their closed guard or their half guard will all make sense. The pieces will all come together because they'll join after, right? Whereas you're trying to study half guard from one guy and then closed guard from another guy, those little pieces don't match up in my opinion. And studying from one person mainly, I think, is the best way to go and drill what they say, whoever that is. I'm not, saying one person's better than the other, and you may like a different style, right? And your body type, right? So for me personally, I like watching John Danaher. The guy's 53 years old. If he can do a technique, hopefully I can do the technique as well, right? So he's the person I study the most. So studying and drilling is also part of the thing I do, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, Danaher's got a really good system as far as like obviously the way he chains things together and how he explains how the technique should. The one thing with Danaher is just kind of like, I think like everybody gets the same thing where it just takes too long for him to explain what he wants to accomplish. But he goes through all the philosophies of each position. Whereas if you were to watch like Gordon Ryan's series, it's very similar as far as like the techniques of what they're doing. It accomplishes the same goal, but the way Gordon Ryan will teach it will be a little bit more to the point of getting to where you want to go. But so like if you're gonna like chain anything together, like if you like multiple kind of DVDs, if you're gonna watch Danaher and then go to like Gordon Ryan, I think you can get the comparables from that. But then but like you said, if you go from like a Danaher series and then going to, let's say, Craig Jones, right? It's completely opposite, and they don't work together. I think you'll get things out of each one, but like you said, pulling chain events is not going to work.
Yeah, Danaher for me he's super detailed. But even the thing, like I can study his closed guard system, and it's whatever, 8 videos, it's 8 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, you know what I mean? I try not to watch TV. I try to watch that stuff instead, right? But you'll look his whole system, then you'll drill it, and then a month, 2 months later, you go look at it again, you're like, oh fuck, I was missing that. And that little thing can make a big difference after YouTube.
I agree.
Yeah. So it is monotonous. I'll give you that, Aaron, 100%. Like if sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm not gonna make it through the session. I'll turn it off. I'll start again tomorrow. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So that's all.
Well, I think one of the best things that maybe COVID has happened. So obviously there's individuals like yourself that have like dedicated themselves to like study of like jiu-jitsu and online video content and all that kind of stuff. But how many lawyers, how many doctors were generated throughout this entire thing? It's amazing.
In the last year and a half on Facebook.
On Facebook, by the way.
Everybody's a professional. Everybody knows a little bit about everything. You know what I mean? So
everybody's a doctor, lawyer, and an accountant in the last year and a half. I got 3 degrees from the University of Facebook, which I think is maybe one step above the University of Phoenix.
The best is when they're sitting on their toilet making a comment about something, about COVID. They're taking a shit. They got nothing better to do than make a comment about something. You know what I mean? Like, go whack it out, buddy. You got like, go live your life. Go do something. You know what I mean? Like, but it equates to anything else. Any profession in the world. Doctors, lawyers. For every one good one, there's 4 or 5 shit ones, right? So like, at the end of the day, with regards, to COVID. Let's say, I don't care what you do. I don't care. I don't care if you want to go get a needle. I don't care if you don't want to go get a needle. I don't care what you want to do. But don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean? I'll decide what I want to do for myself. It's insane. You know what I mean? Right. So it's just social media has made it easy to disrespect people from a distance, right? So instead of getting them and punching them in the
dick,
right?
like Aaron wants to do to Sanji.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I bit a guy once, I think, training. So he was just fucking just being a goof.
Why are you biting people? What is wrong with y'all?
Now that's vicious.
Izzy, remember Israel?
That's vicious.
Yeah, I bit him. He was being a dick. He was elbowing me in the head and everything. And I bit him. I'll be honest. He stopped right away after.
What was he doing? Like dropping elbows on you? Or is he training UFC?
He dropped about 3 elbows on my face, right? And then I bit him. And then he stopped, right? So I figured we were even. 3 elbows for 1 fight.
I guess he didn't know the self-defense to bite.
No. I don't think it's in the curriculum, right? Self-defense to bite, right? So there's choking, different things, but I don't know if there's one for bite. Right?
Someone's going like that. I don't know.
It's all that
coming at you.
It's like don't drink too much Kool-Aid, you know what I mean? So,
just for fun, like the last year and a half, I'm gonna throw this open everywhere. What's the craziest shit you've seen like the last year and a half? Just social media. I like to just ask this. I've seen people saying like getting jabbed, you're going to sever your connection to God. There was an individual who was posting things like that. So I never realized that there were so many people that were, just doctors, lawyers, priests online. So like, Aaron, what's the craziest thing you've seen?
And
I stopped. Sorry. Go ahead, Aaron.
Go ahead, Aaron. No. I want to hear Miguel talk first. That's what I want to hear.
This is when I said everyone is full of shit. It was right at the beginning when I heard fucking 5G caused COVID. People are on crack. 5G caused COVID, and then they went to pick things apart, like the Spanish flu. That's when first transmitters came out, and then another one because of this. I'm like, you guys are fucked. Like, get a life, man. 5G caused COVID. You know what I mean? As soon as I heard that, I was like, I don't want to hear any of this shit, right? So I honestly don't even try to watch the news, man. Like, I'm like, this is cracked, right? So I'm like, insane. So
I don't know, the 5G credibility, like whatever happened to that theory. It's like it was there for like 2 weeks, and then people just moved on from it. They're like, it was the 5G towers, and 2 weeks later they're just looking around like,
and
oh, fuck it, okay, it was this then. Like,
yeah, they're putting a tower on a school. They put a tower here. They put a tower there. Look, 5G, COVID.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
you don't even hear about it anymore. Like 5G.
Exactly.
Like my internet connection's fantastic, by the way, but exactly. I think it's been drastically improved. I think Aaron needs some 5G for this podcast because he's fucking cutting out every 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on today, but no, the best was like near the beginning when there's probably just video of like tanks being moved across like Chicago, like on a train or whatever. And I remember my mom messaged me. She's like, Aaron, that fucking crazy president's mobilizing the army. Oh my God, what's the fuck? Everything going. I'm like, Mom, it's fine. I'm sure we'll know if something's actually going to happen. Like, relax. It's okay. Oh, the army's being deployed. I'm like, no, don't worry. But the craziest one I heard most recently was this, I don't even really want to mention his name because he's a jackass, but that Chris Sky was trying to organize everybody to get onto public transportation and defy the mask mandate or anything, and just get everybody to disrupt the public, like jump on the trains, jump on the buses, all this kind of stuff. And nobody fucking did it. He was the only one who did it. And you look like a fucking tool, like he is. And I hope he gets kicked in the dick eventually one day. But yeah, that guy.
I hope I see you on video one day, just kicking him in the dick.
Oh, fuck.
I'll be recording and yelling, "World Star!"
Oh my God.
So good. I know that guy.
Oh,
so
that
Aaron,
guy.
Aaron, question for you. There's 3 people you could punch in the dick. Me for doing 75 podcasts with you, Chris Sky, or Sanji, and you can only pick one. Who's getting
Chris Sky? I will go to jail for that one. I got people to bail me out already.
But Aaron, say you go and you fight Shande and you beat him. Wouldn't that be great though?
Oh my God. I'd be like, I quit. I'm never competing ever again.
Exactly, man. Like, just go. Like, what else?
Exactly.
What's the worst that's gonna happen?
Imagine you're down 67-0 and you pull out that miracle spazzing toe hold.
The toe hold or a flying armbar, and it's just on flow grappling.
Okay, whoa, not flying armbar. Your only shot is the toe hold that's coming out on Canadian BJJ Fanatics.
Okay, all right.
And if he says in those words like, you know, you have to make a diamond and you have to be elegant, just fucking punch him right in the face. Use any of those terms, you know, diamond and you have to be elegant, right? Just hoof him one right in the melon, man. Elegant, buddy. Yeah, here's Canadian elegance, bro. You know,
I love it. I think Miguel's inspiring me. He's inspiring me to go. That's it. Competing next year.
You win. Yeah, man. Yeah, there's I personally like to compete IBJJF only now because it's 5-year brackets, right? So
yeah,
you know, here in the province they don't have like
well, it's 10-year or just like Masters 2 and that's it. And
well, Masters or seniors, whatever, but it's after 40, right? So like, you know, they need to make something else. And even at like, you know, I've thrown this idea out a couple of times. Like after 50, you should just make like an open weight for us. You know what I mean? Who cares, right? Because we're not that many guys, right? So, you know what I mean?
I think so. I think they got to figure it out where they've got to try to convince more. Like I always feel like after 30, like the 30 bracket, that's starting to get bigger because I think a lot of the guys that like obviously I used to train with and back in the day, like they've all kind of like in that same bracket of masters, and they're all competing in those divisions now instead of adults. But the senior divisions, they're like starting to thin out, and I think they got to figure out a way to keep those senior divisions going.
Yeah, it's something to think about for the OJ to think about, right? Or something you can like, you know what I mean? Especially just around here in the province, you know all the guys, you know, and then you end up fighting the same guys over and over. Who cares, right? So it's just like, you know, let's just go try and, you know, we'll see what happens, right? But, you know, I've only fought open weight a couple of times, right? But I don't mind it, like, you know what I mean? So a discrepancy from the bottom of your age, it's a lot in my opinion, right? It's not worth it. Right? Have a little bit, go here, go there, right? So see different parts of the world. I don't think they're going to do Euros, right? Because I would have gone to Euros as well. Just the IBJJF schedule, usually Euros is in January, and they haven't posted anything yet, and they already have tournaments after that. For example, that Austin Open I mentioned earlier. That's already schedule, but there's more down after that, but nothing.
Is there like like in Portugal, like what's the situation there? Because I know you've traveled to Portugal several times. You have family there. The situation there with COVID, and like, is there a possibility that like Euros will be back there sometime?
They had like
in the not so distant future
an uprising of it a while back, a few months ago, but it seems to be under control from what my family members tell me, right? And people are flying there that I know, and people. My cousin comes actually tomorrow night. He lands one of my cousins here. He's coming from there, right? So, you know, travel is permitted back and forth, right? So, but I don't know if it's. I'm not sure why the IBJJF isn't trying to do Euros. You know, I would have loved to do it because they host it in Lisbon. It's a suburb called Odivelas, and it's like 40 minutes from my father's house, right? So. So, but it's unfortunate. I don't specifically know exactly why they're not doing it, but it's not posted on the schedule, so they may not be doing it. Or, the same thing, they may do like World Masters. World Masters typically is in August, and it's now in whatever, November, right? So they may just push it back further into the year, who knows, right? So same sort of jazz, right? So, yeah. So, but as far as I know, everything's okay over there, there isn't really any huge outbreaks. They're dealing with like everyone else does, right? And they have their ups and downs with it, right? But it's not you know, there's no lockdowns. There's not like whatever, Australia, shit like that. None of that stuff. It's not like, people aren't going crazy, fucking rioting and shit like that. None of that stuff's going on, right? So, but yeah, I think it's pretty much like here with regards to COVID, right? So starting to open up everything and people are flying and traveling, right? So, but it's not a huge issue.
Nice. So Miguel, before we start to wrap out, who's your prediction for this weekend coming up? We got Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. We got Gaethje versus Chandler. And then we got Thug Rose versus Wei Chen. Who are you thinking?
Wei Chen, that is the
I
worst.
can't say her name. I can't say it.
I'm going to say Rose Namajunas. I like her.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Usman. And what was the second match?
You got Gaethje versus Chandler.
Gaethje and Michael Chandler.
Gaethje's going to eat him. Yeah. Gaethje, Usman, and Rose Thug Namajunas, the Rose, and she's so nice in that. You know what I mean? It's always nice when it's like a nice person who wins. At least I think she is. So,
yeah, that's the Trevor Whitmore stable, right? All three of those people. So, like, I think you're right on all three predictions. To be honest with you, I think the interesting fight will be Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman, especially to see the type of transitions, what things they changed in their camp from the first fight to this fight. But I still think Usman's just been on a different level right now. He's getting better every single fight. That knockout of Jorge Masvidal for the last fight, I don't know, man. I think he's got it.
The fight game's weird, though.
Yeah, it's really weird, right? It could be on one day and you're off the next, right?
Yeah.
You look at some of these guys over the years, like Anderson Silva, like everyone thought, you know what I mean? And now, everyone's got their day, right? So.
Oh, exactly.
So you never know, right?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think Usman's just at a different level right now. I actually, I'm not gonna say I like Colby Covington, but I appreciate the trash talking level of.
Oh, you're his biggest fan. Promotion. What are you talking about?
I have his book. I think you have his book, Triggered by Donald Trump Jr. I think that's what you have, Aaron.
You have that. You got that MAGA hat at home. I know you do.
I think you have to keep America Great One. I think it's in your bookshelf that you're hiding. I think you're hiding some secrets back there, Aaron.
Maybe it's somewhere back here.
University of Trump degree back there.
It might be back here somewhere.
Trump degree.
Pull it out.
Perfect.
You got triggered by Donald Trump Jr. back there. I know you do, Aaron.
Make a deal. Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. It's back there. $1.18. But no, I think Usman's another level right now. I think he's just on a complete tear. I just don't see him losing this. I think everything that Colby's good at, I think Usman's just as good.
So who's your GOAT though?
Who's my GOAT?
Yeah.
Like all-time MMA GOAT?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough.
Oh.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to say probably I'm probably gonna have to say either GSP or Anderson Silva is one of the two.
Yeah.
Just with the level of competition that they both faced, at the top of the game, dominance. Yeah, they both have losses, but I think everybody has their day in MMA at some point. I think you have to look at who they're fighting at what time, who is in their prime. I think it's a toss-up between those two, honestly.
I agree with you that I would say GSP in my opinion, because I always found that he would dictate where the fight went, up or down, and he was both, proficient in both, right? So I think that makes a good fighter when you can dictate where the fight goes to, right? So, some of these guys, whatever, the striking, they want to stand. you see a wrestler, he wants to get up, right? So, and he wants to get up and he wants to strike. He doesn't want to stand there, the jiu-jitsu guy. And GSP always dictated where the fight went to. He dictated the pace, right? So,
Yeah, I think another interesting fact too is that
Canadian.
yeah, and he also avenged both his losses as well. That was another thing.
Yeah.
So like he's basically scratched his record, no problem. Whereas Anderson didn't avenge, like he was able to have the Chris Weidman fight to obviously get that loss back. You know, he's had other losses, but like one thing with Anderson, it was always like when he moved to those second weight classes, like the 205, and he just dominated 205 whenever he stepped in there. Like his fight with Stephan Bonner, his fight with Forrest Griffin, it just annihilated those two guys and just made them look silly. But you look at GSP, who walked into 185 after not competing for 4 years and basically choked Michael Bisping out, the champion at the time, with an amazing choke, probably the deepest, like tightest rear naked choke in UFC history, and is the champ. Like I would say GSP is the GOAT, my GOAT, but I know other people will disagree sometimes, but that's okay.
I think you made a good case. I think I would have to put him as a GOAT right now, honestly. I mean, no disrespect to Khabib. I think he was on his way there, and I think if he kept,
I think he was on his way there.
Retire as early as he did.
Yeah.
I think he needed like a few more like wins to really like go and make a case for that, or move up a weight class, and then win like say he moved up and then he fought at 170 and won a title at 170 and stayed undefeated and was beating like Usman, Covington, and top tier guys. Then you could make a strong case for him being the greatest fighter of all time in MMA.
Yeah, no, he's my GOAT. GSP, right? So, but yeah. And you ever watch a documentary too? I think it's called the DNA Takedown of a.
The DNA Takedown. Yeah. It's a good documentary.
He's like all fighters, they're off. They're not normal. You know what I mean, right? So I guess we're not normal too a little bit if we're doing this shit, right? But maybe it does keep us normal. I don't know, but he goes off, and he's OCD, right? So that guy, right? So it's just like he's obsessive, right, with what he does, right? So
well, you know what they say about like unique individuals, they got to find interesting hobbies to keep them sane, and I think we just found an interesting hobby that obviously keeps us sane, and we get to go beat people up in a padded room and it looks normal.
you gotta about what people are looking up from the outside, like, what the fuck are these people doing, man? This is like Mexican ground. This is like, what are they doing? You know what I mean?
Might be the greatest name of a jiu-jitsu school ever. Just call it the B team, Mexican ground karate.
He's funny though. I'll give him that guy, man. He is funny.
I'll give him credit. He is a really good marketing director who does that for him. So I will give him credit.
There's got to be more. There's got to be more to it than that whole split with that whole teams. There's got to be something there, right? So that we don't even know about, right? So
there's all.
I'm sure.
Well, there's some things on the surface that have come up. I think like Nicky Rod did an interview and he kind of mentioned that they wanted to like quote unquote cut out the poison. He wasn't mentioning names, but you could probably guess and read between the lines what it was. So there was a rift going on between some of the guys that ended up moving to B team and then some of the ones that stayed with Danaher and opened up at the other place. So there was clearly a conflict there, and some of them decided, we'll start our own thing and we work well together and we mesh well together. And sometimes that's just what's needed. Sometimes people just need change, and you made some change as well, and you're better off for it. And also we want to thank you for coming on the podcast. We want to give you kind of the floor to say what you want. And like if you have any sponsors you want to thank or anybody you want to shout out before we wrap up.
Yeah, like I said, I want to give a shout out to Simon, my training partner, Hepworth, right? Kevin Castellanos. I want to give a shout out to Coach Patrick Terrell, right? So and my professor Fernando, right? They've all been really good with me. James on too. I train up there a lot too, right? So I want to give a shout out to those guys, right? Those guys who are influencing my jiu-jitsu game right now, and so those are the guys I rely on. So that's all. Those are the guys. Nobody else. I'm not sponsored by anyone. Not even my company I work for, those bastards.
We're sponsored by SpiritLeaf Waterdown, 64 Hamilton Street North, right, Aaron? Get all your CBD there,
Yeah.
Migs. All the CBD that your heart desires.
I'll go see Mr. Alex Tang at that point. So
there you go. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Miguel, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. It's been great. We'll definitely come out to see you either at Gringos or at Pat. I'll see you tomorrow at Pat's anyways.
Yeah.
But it's been awesome. And then we'll stay in touch.
all right, thank you guys.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.